Hello, everyone. This is Kando. Um, it's great to talk to you today. I'm going to talk a bit more again about, you know, just like how some stuff about the addiction process. So like the whole process involves like almost like a resetting of the body, the mind, and the spirit. So which means it's physiological, it's psychological, and it's metaphysical. So it's all levels, and this can be handled just about anywhere, but then it takes some level of experience and things like that. So if you really want to, I can show you how you can do like the rehab from home, because it's a natural process. It doesn't really need an intervention like a drug or something like that. I've been asked this a lot of times. Do you have medicine which rehabilitates a person? No, there's no medicine which rehabilitates a person. The psychiatric drugs which are around are actually used for really weaning a person, or maybe just making them settle down if they're too hyper or something like that. But there's really no like medical cure from addiction. So it's just natural that everybody has this tendency to do some bad and some good. There's a theorem called, I came across this in my business studies, because I, by qualification, I'm a business graduate, and I'm a business person in my activities. So, like there's um, a, a concept I came across called the operand theorem and the workmanship theorem. So the operand theorem, assumes that a person is inherently ready to do work, and the operant theorem assumes that a person is inherently doesn't want to work. So like when it comes to addiction, I think it's more or less the same thing, because addiction does not start when a person reaches their rock bottom, when they become bad. Like my addiction started when I was young. It started in the form of some food addiction and some form of relationship addiction. That's how it started, and then so that was my gateway drug in a way. And then this evolved as time went on, and then went further into the alcohol addiction, which was the biggest addiction to affect me. So the whole process, which becomes addiction, is a very, very natural process for a human being. But then when it becomes like abnormal, where it's now being used for something that is actually killing the human being, then that's when it's called addiction. So you have a person who is in addiction, actually killing themselves on a daily basis, so it is now like corrupted. The whole system is corrupted. So the rehabilitation process is a process of bringing the, this system back to its normal function. And this doesn't stop, because these adjustments go on for life, and they're always happening in everybody. So which means at some point everybody sort of goes into some addiction where their system just goes out of whack. A lot of people explain it in terms of dopamine. They say certain activities will increase the amount of dopamine, other activities will not. And when a person is addicted, then they get the dopamine hit from whatever they're addicted to. There are people who have really said this dopamine theory doesn't really work. It's not there because nobody has ever come to say no. When you take this drug, the levels of dopamine, when you take a blood test, then the levels of dopamine, we measure them to that, So some people have really disputed this, and they speak in terms of other hormones. This is not exactly my area, yeah, but I have a good idea about that, you know. But then in terms of other hormones, yeah, they've actually measured them and seen that um, the levels will fall or rise, and when they rise, the person feels this way. When they fall, they feel a certain way. Like, for example, cortisol. People will talk about that and what effect it will have on the body and things like that. So, so it's possible to talk about like addiction in that way. So, like for me, I usually find myself being more able to discuss, like to give these talks after I do my exercise. It's like my exercise sort of gives me this energy, so which is basically some hormones in my system. Maybe some testosterone goes up, and I have more energy to talk, and my thinking becomes sharper and things like that. So you see a lot of my videos on YouTube are actually done after a workout, because while I'm working out, I'm getting a lot of ideas. While I'm working out, my physiology is put to work, my psychology is put to work, and even my metaphysical is put to work. So which means it's like at the physical level there's some work being done, at the mental level there's some work being done, and even at the spiritual level there's some work being done, like exercising faith that, yeah, I'll be able to lift this, exercising faith that, no, I'll be able to run this distance. So all those get, like they get to work while I'm exercising. So after an exercise, I'm usually really jacked up and ready to talk, and with the ideas that come to my head. And to me, those ideas is God talking through me, to me and through me. So when the good comes to me, it just doesn't benefit me; it benefits others, and it benefits me more if I share it. Yeah. So you this thing of addiction, it does not depend on whether a person is intelligent or they're not intelligent, they're rich or they're poor, they're tall, they're short, they're black, they're white, those all those factors. I actually think if addiction can be dealt with in the community, it's so much better, because then there's less stigma attached from people being in institutions, that is prisons are basically like some big rehabs. Those terms are even used for people who are working in the correctional services system, mental hospitals. I think in the community it's so much better, working with people out of their addiction within the community. And I think that empowerment needs to be made. I'm making strides towards that. My programs now are really more community based than they are, based in an institution. Like you see here, I am at a restart center, and it's a place without a fence. People don't need to be caged in. They're actually free to move around, and I think that is like by far more effective. Yeah. So like just to conclude, for most addicts, they just have a blind spot, and every human being has a blind spot. Every parent wants the best for their kids, but they never give the best for their kids because they've got blind spots. It's just a natural human thing not to know everything. And in the end, we're still subject to a lot of the suffering that goes on in life. And that is not really any of our fault. That's just the way life is. But then for us to deal with it, if we deal with it as a community, where I have a weakness, another person has a strength, and when we work together, then we benefit from each other. I think that's the way to go. So community is the way to go. Community is the way I'm going, and community is the way Restart is going. So please like my video wherever you're watching it from. Give it a like, and subscribe to my channel, whichever platform you're watching it from.